Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast that, like Nick Castellanos, is one beer and a tantrum away from being released. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined by my co-host, Ben Samora.
What's up, Nate?
If you have an idea for the opening bit, text or leave us a voicemail at 848-48-BIRDS. And thank you to Kyle Reis. You may know him for that opening bit. It's a pretty good one. We talked about him a little bit ago, and I think it's about time that this episode or this show gets released. But we want to do at least one more. And so for maybe our final episode, we've brought Kyle Reis back on the show. Kyle, thank you so much for being here.
Talking about birds, talking about birds, talking about birds, talking about.
The theme song really is probably that's like the good 30 seconds of the episode.
Yeah.
You know, and it's always just downhill from there.
It's funny. I have my girlfriend's son was singing that in the back seat the other day.
Really?
Afterwards, he's like, I kind of like this.
Wow. Shout out to a friend of the show, Chris, who made that for us. It's it's pretty awesome. I remember when he sent it we'd asked him to do a song for us. He did our old theme song too from our like run back in like 2012. It was this sort of downbeat thing, and we really, really liked it. But we asked him for something new for the new show, and when he sent that, we were just like, no notes, got it in one.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
I love it. Thanks for having me, guys. It's an honor. I obviously listen to the podcast pretty regularly, and I'm really just here to talk about Deniel Ortiz for the next 2 hours.
Thank God. It's like you're looking at my outline.
Yeah. It's been too long, Kyle. I was it our 100th episode was the last time you were on?
Is that true?
I think so.
I think
I think so.
I think it was because I think that I made you play like 4 games on that episode, and I felt bad. I'm like, I'm gonna give Kyle a break. And then it's been way too long. So how have you been? How's the off season been treating you?
The off season has been treating me kind of like it treated Nolan Arenado. You know, I just got thrown around a little bit. I'm not really familiar with, and here I am, a slutty little whore.
Yeah, you don't mind getting tossed around though.
Yeah, it's a perfect situation.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Getting paid millions of dollars, of course. Yeah, it's been a great off season.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, I'll tell you honestly, the thing I like most about being on the podcast, other than getting to talk to you guys, is that this is the closest I'll probably get to be able to do Prospects After Dark, like on somebody else's podcast. So
Yeah.
I was ready. I was just so ready to get into it a little weird with you guys tonight. Thank you for obliging me more than anything.
Well, so obviously, your reputation precedes yourself. We've been talking all off season about like we need to do another prospect deep dive. Like we've dipped our toes in it. We've talked about the Fangraphs top 53. We've talked about MLB.com's list and things like that. But we've really stuck to the high end, the ones that most people know about, your JJ Weatherholtz and whatnot. Ben,
I think
obviously,
he's going to be pretty good. This JJ kid.
I watched him steal a base today.
Oh, look at
I
you.
watched baseball today.
Wow.
Tell
So
you what,
cool.
It felt great. It felt
Yeah,
great.
he was on the MLB app's top performers for the day, going over 2 with the stolen base.
Slow day. They just had it penciled in. Like, we're just gonna put him in there, regardless of what the stats are.
I think so.
But we've obviously, I know Ben has been ringing the bell on Deniel Ortiz. Everybody and their mother knows about Josh Baez at this point, which has been really cool to see. I think we're all excited for hopefully a fun spring from him and fun career. But before we get into like the specific prospects and all the stuff that we expect to talk about, we did want to. I guess I'm curious about your take on Chaim Bloom, or the Bloom and Goons, as we've been calling them. As a prospect guy, this has been got to be kind of a dream off season to some degree for you, as the entire focus has been on prospect and the mass acquisition of prospects. So how have you been feeling about their approach and the types of players that they've been targeting?
Before we even get into the prospects of it, I think that I like kind of what they've done, and I kind of view it as like a three-prong approach to nearly every one of these trades. It's a little different with Donovan. They definitely tried to find their level of upside, but I think about the two trades with the Red Sox in particular, Sonny Gray and Wilson Contreras. Richard Fitz and Hunter Dobbins are very. By the way, what are you drinking?
Yeah,
You cannot
yeah,
just
that
pop
was
beer.
so-
It's loud.
so
Don't keep talking. I'm a dog with a whistle.
Yeah.
I held it under my desk and far away.
Ridiculous.
I
Well,
can smell it.
actually, it is an Athletic Brewing Company
Boo.
IPA. So,
Look
what
at
have you
this.
got there? Is that a
An
is that a Corona? Is that an NA Corona?
NA.
Look at
Corona.
us. We're all
It's a calorie thing. I'm trying to cut down on my calorie. Chobani.
Ben's got a Chobani. This is the
Good health, baby.
What-
Gut health. You gotta keep that gut clean.
the NA Corona is, I think, the one that tastes the most like its actual non-alcoholic drink. Because mostly Coronas are just like what 2% anyway.
Whoa.
So
I do too.
I've got those same things in my basement. I like the Athletic IPA ones as well, but it doesn't really taste like a real IPA or anything. But I just kind of a spicy drink, so I enjoy it.
Yeah, I also think that I got the Blue Moon for the first time this week. The Blue Moon's pretty solid too. If you just gotta think of it as an orange drink.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what with these IPAs. I'm like, I'm not drinking like a heavy IPA. I'm drinking just like a spicy drink, and it's fine. Like
No.
Ben currently hammered is spinning in his chair, grimacing at us.
I understand the value of a beer. I personally do not dabble. Not for me. I like beer.
Yeah.
Well,
wow.
so what I'm trying to do is
Kavanaugh.
trying to represent both of you. Unbeknownst to me, I got the NA, and then I've just got a glass of bourbon.
There we
There you
go.
go. There
Thank
you
you.
go. All right.
like-
He's doing double
I mean,
fisting.
that is an NA Corona and a glass of bourbon is quite a killer combo.
Yeah, it's a Diet Coke and an extra value meal is what's happening there in drink form. To the question, I like bringing in Hunter Dobbins and Richard Fitz. You would want something a little bit more high upside, but that wasn't realistic in the trades that the Cardinals made.
Yeah.
So I like that they got two major league contributors ready to go. Now, what level to contribute is whatever. We'll find that. And I don't think they know what kind of level they will contribute at, both the players and the Cardinals, until the Cardinals get their hands on them and can actually extrapolate what they're good, right?
Yeah.
I like after that, like the two tiers of prospects, whether it be Yoiker Fajardo and Blake Aida. I like that it was like one in each one of the deals for Gray and Contreras. You got a major league contributor, something that was really intriguing that you can project easily to be a depth pitcher, and then a pitcher to dream on. I like that 3-step thing, build on and dream on. I think that they approached that really well. Obviously, I think everybody, gimmick or not, loves Durangelo Senja. Like we all just love the kid. When you do your background on him, it's nothing but positive. It's just positive after positive about what he is. And same thing with Ty Pete. The Cardinals really went out of their way in the Donovan trade to try to get players that are as character driven as Brendan Donovan. I think that's one of the things that gets lost. Everybody loves Ty Pete. Everybody loves Durangelo Senja. And Colton Ledbetter is kind of another player that he's a little quieter, but he has a high character, high motor, high value. So, I'm excited to see these players come in. And I think that the Cardinals did really well acquiring what they've acquired, the draft picks and the Donovan deal aside. That's a nice little cherry on top, or two cherries on top, more specifically. But
Now you're talking my language. Pile on the
See?
cherries.
Yeah. Oh my God. Any drink levels up with a little cherry. Drink or dessert or anything levels up with a little cherry. And that's what happened with the acquiring those draft picks. So I like what they did. I think as the guy who watched the 2025 minor league season, I'm still so focused on the pitchers that were hurt in 2025 getting healthy. I haven't allowed myself to really, I didn't think about this until last week, but I haven't really allowed myself to open up so aggressively to the new acquisitions because quite honestly, like I just want to see Brian Holiday healthy. I want to see Takora Roby healthy, and I want
Yeah.
to see Semro Barisic, who I don't really care about at all, healthy, and Cooper Jerpy and Andrew Dukanich and Peyton Graham. All of these pitchers that the Cardinals at the minor league level missed parts of 2025 or all of 2025. I think I'll be able to really grasp the current landscape of the Cardinals' depth in the minor leagues once some of those guys get healthy. And hopefully, guys like Eshawn Henderson, whose throwing program is shut down because of some general soreness, that doesn't last long, and we can continue to move on and really assess the depth in the minor leagues. But I like what they did this offseason, and I'm anxious to see how they develop some of these players.
Yeah, I mean the adage of there's no such thing as a pitching prospect. We're still trying to remember the ones that were hurt from last year on the pile versus all the new ones, but it's I think pretty safe to say the bulk of pitching prospects is larger than I can remember it
Yeah.
for the Cardinals. I can't remember the time we had this many names when we say our future rotation is somewhere in this like 20 different guys, right?
With enough depth, I say depth up front, but enough back end starters to keep the major league team occupied while they develop what could be middle to top of the rotation starters. That's why I like, Dick Fitz and Hunter Dobbins. And, we're all done with Andre Palante, but I want to see him recover and rebound. The chances are small, but like they've got enough guys at the front to buy them time as the next generation comes into their own.
Yeah, right now the current rotation feels like we were just on Jake's show with Viva Alberto's, and we were shout out to him and his show. It just came out on Monday, but we were talking about like a rotation right now of like 8 number 4s,
Yeah.
which you're never going to feel during a game like, all right, this is a game that we're gonna win, but you're also not going to be like, oh, this is a game we've got no chance, and that's probably what 2026 is going to feel like. But hopefully that is just treading water while underneath we're learning more about Liam Doyle, and hopefully Quinn Matthews and Takora Roby and all these guys are rebounding or coming back healthy and whatnot to come up and be the 2s and 3s and hopefully a 1 somewhere in there.
Yeah, and I think that's really the crux of what the Cardinals are doing as well. I think that they know that, and just bringing in some depth. And one thing that I like about the depth that they have at the minor leagues, and you nailed it, Nate. We'll see how it all develops. Pitching is pitching, and that's the disaster waiting to happen.
Yeah.
But I like that the Cardinals have kind of all kinds of just different prospects from the pitching side. They've got righties with high velocity. They've got some crafty righties. I think about like Leonel Sequeira and Griff Gallardo, who are more command first teenagers or 20-year-old or younger foreign-born players who are command first and have some interesting stuff and can kind of get into the mid 90s. And then you've got some funky lefties, and you've got some high velocity lefties. You've got slider first lefties, slider first righties, sweeper first lefties, sweeper first righties. Change, whether it be a kick change or a circle change or a regular changeup, they're throughout the organization, left-handed and right-handed. It's I like that they don't have their eggs in one basket. And yeah, they're putting an emphasis on the changeup throughout the minor leagues and finding their changeup, but they're not solely focused on it. And I think that's going to serve them well as they continue to adapt to whatever changing landscape continues to happen at the major league level and the development landscape as well. So I just, I love that they have the variety that they have, and there's really not a whole lot of overlap, even with the funky lefties or the generic righties.
I haven't read, or that the changeup thing is news to me. Is that so? That's like an org-wide thing that they are preaching right now. Is that to improve people's platoon splits, or what's the thought process there?
That definitely plays into it, right? So, like, you think about Andre Granillo, who was just traded by the Cardinals, right? He had always kind of thrown a changeup, and they tried working with him to throw a changeup to keep lefties off of him.
Right.
Righties too. If you can keep a righty off of his slider with a sub pedestrian fastball, even in the mid 90s, it gives a pitcher a little bit of an edge. Now, the changeup thing in the Cardinals organization isn't just what they're developing; it's one of the things that they've been looking for the last couple of years. And really, a lot of left-handers who throw a really good changeup, it's kind of just been genetic for them, not the Cardinals, but the players. Braden Davis, Cade Crossland, Quinn Matthews, Cooper Jerpy, who has maybe the most underrated changeup in the organization. Sean Henderson, Pete Hansen. They all had Bryson Mouts, who has toyed with and has finally found a changeup that works for him. They all have had changeups, but it's just like, Tekoa Roby introducing the kick change was a huge thing. Hansel Rincon introducing the kick change was a huge thing. Those guys were throwing changeups, just not something that was ever going to work at the major leagues. So it's been using what they have, not like solely focused on getting guys with actionable or projectable changeups, but finding a way to augment players' rotations to make them as effective as possible. And the easiest way to do that, in my opinion, is the changeup, because it's so hard to hit. And one thing about the minor leagues, and I think about this with Jordan Walker, and I think about this with Nolan Gorman and Dylan Carlson, and every one of these hitters, we can even JJ Weatherall, we can appraise what's going on at the minor leagues. We can look at the Statcast or Savant sheets, and they can tell us all the information. There's a million people running the data, but what they don't see on a regular basis is major league caliber changeups. And that's why when they get to the major leagues, breaking pitches aside, when they start seeing the major league caliber changeup, it's donezo for a lot of prospects. It's the mental game, but it's like Dylan Carlson's mechanics completely changed once he had to augment for that changeup. And then he stopped using his lower half, and then he started using his hands, and then he hurt his lower half, and it was just a disaster. But the changeup is the hardest pitch to hit if executed properly, because, and if it's running off the fastball well, because of the natural fade and the arm speed that comes with pitching. So I think the Cardinals are just trying to get ahead of what will eventually be a saturation in the market, because I think that's going to be the next evolution of pitching league wide. Just like the slider was 5 years ago or 7 years ago, when the sweeper was 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah, super interesting. I guess I'm behind the times, because I've been called for everyone to get a sweeper. Like Palante, where's the sweeper? Like, you need something, right? Because you're getting hit on everything, and it seemed like at least a lot of the guys coming over from Japan and other leagues are coming in and dominating with their sweeper. But I'm behind times, I guess. We're back on changeups. It's like 1970s all over again, but now it's paired with a 103 fastball instead of like a 88 or whatever back then.
Yeah, it's fascinating, because even in my mind, I tend to categorize changeups, whether it be a circle or a kick, kind of with splitters. A splitter is a little bit different thing, but if you can throw a really good splitter, it's a whole different beast. And we've seen a lot of especially Asian-born players come over with devastating splitters. And I think that we're kind of in that transition where, like I said, between like sweeper and changeup was this small, quiet splitter revolution that has kind of aided this growth in changeups, or maybe allowed a team like the Cardinals to try to be at the forefront of developing devastating changeups, or helping to cultivate devastating changeups. Because, the splitter, what was that? That was popular 20 years ago. Sliders were popular 20 years ago. Throwing heat was popular, and then it became unpopular. It was keep the ball on the ground and throw devastating breaking pitches. And now the Cardinals are at the forefront of that. I guess not really. They're in like the middle of the pack when it comes to finding devastating heaters, right? That's been the other trademark of their pursuits of pitchers, whether it be in the draft or in other organizations and trades. So that's pairing up these devastating changeups, trying to be ahead of that with being somewhat in the middle of the pack of finding devastating fastballs and finding ways for those to work together and bridge them with other pitches is really what they're doing, in my opinion.
Yeah, we were talking about it on the show the other day, but like certainly seems right now above and beyond all the whatever your favorite breaking ball is. Right now, fastballs are still dominant. Like the best pitchers in baseball are all leading with a dominant fastball, which is part of why we're so hyped for Liam Doyle, who seems to be coming out of the packaging with an incredible fastball. And it's just a question if he can throw anything else with quality. How are you feeling about him?
Yeah, the write up over at the Cardinal Nation, and the Cardinal Nation is Brian Walton's website, and I've been lucky enough to do Wednesdays with Walton and Reis for the last little over a year with him. But we did our top. Yeah. Thank you, I appreciate it. Anyways, I will go on a tangent there. I'm going to try to keep myself in the lane. I love Liam Doyle. As I mentioned in the write-up, he's a psychopath, and I will be on board for every psychopathic left-handed pitcher. It makes me feel at home. It makes me feel comfortable. as a psychopathic left-hander myself. So I can't tell you how like refreshing it is, and I hope I hope it's under control. You don't want him. You don't want him telling Juan Soto to go fuck off. Like that's
Yeah.
not gonna play at the major league level, not for another 10 years or so. I want him to. Hopefully, he continues to pitch with that intensity, just cultivated and matured a little
Yeah.
bit.
I mean, as
no,
a mild-mannered righty, I'm quite intimidated by all of you.
Like, so from a development standpoint, one of the things I was quick to point out with him is I think most people in like the hard scouting that watch games that aren't necessarily as data reliant love his splitter. It's a beautiful thing. Now, I doubt it'll stay. I say this. I doubt it'll stay a splitter. I think that the Cardinals will work to make it a changeup. I think he'll work to make it a changeup. Probably some combination, some hybrid of the two. But I think deep down that's his best off-speed offering, and he has a little command issue with it. But it can be a really devastating pitch for him. And then he messed with the cutter and a slider. There was a curve a while back. Like, that's all just to say that this fastball is really awesome. It is as high quality, high caliber as you're going to find. But the rest, he still has work to do. I forgot who told me, but someone like, and I really do not mean to beat up on like Randy Carricker, who is a St. Louis media icon, but
Sure.
He's been calling for, he and other people have been calling for Liam Doyle to be major league capable by August.
Yeah.
They can go straight to hell for that. If he is major league capable by then, if say he gets a better feel for his changeup and all of a sudden his slider is biting more than it ever has, and there's other things in there, there's no point to bring him up unless the Cardinals are on a 95 win pace. There just isn't.
Yeah.
And also, he won't be major league ready. Like, he might be doing it at Double-A, but what did we see with Quinn Matthews? You're not really ready. You're not ready, even as a polished, developed. In Quinn Matthews' case, command first, even with added velocity, lefty. The bridge is just too far, and stats won't tell the whole story.
I know in the past you've kind of argued that you want to see these Jordan Walkers, Quinn Matthews, JJ Weatherholtz kind of hit a speed bump in the minor leagues. Do you JJ seemingly hasn't and is just going to go to the big leagues. I guess 2 questions. Are you worried about that at all? And to Quinn Matthews, looking at last year, it was a fucking speed bump all season. How are you feeling about JJ's lack of, and then Quinn's, like I said, rough 2025?
I think I'm less concerned with JJ than I've probably been with any other prospect. I would love to see him struggle. I would, but I don't think it's going to kill. I think he's the rare case. And it's hard for me to admit this because I want to pull the reins back on him a little bit. But I think he's the rare case mentally where when he gets to the major leagues and has his first 0 for 18 skid, I don't think he's going to change the way he approaches things.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to change his mechanics. I think he's going to stick to his process unless he's striking out, 90% of the time or 50% of the time. And then there might be some panic in there, but I think he'll readjust, so I'm not as worried about him as I might be specifically about the high school drafted prospects. I will say, as we segue kind of into Quinn, I've become a little bit more aggressive mentally because of data about my desire to see pitchers kind of not pushed, but maybe put a little bit more on a fast track because they only have so many bullets.
If the I see what you're saying. But if the fastball is grading major league ready, maybe we push them. Yeah.
That's it exactly. Like if you're looking and the scouting video and the data are both saying, all right, look, he's commanding, and the data is proving that 2 or 3 pitches, specifically, hopefully 3 pitches, are major league capable, then I don't want to see that guy spend a whole year at Double-A. Get him to Triple-A as fast as possible. And if he's dominating Triple-A, no, not in this circumstance with the Cardinals, right? That's the difference. There's no reason to rush into these guys, especially with the potential CBA issue looming. But once we get out of whatever happens in 2027, I'd like to see the Cardinals do kind of what they did with JJ Weatherholt, be a little bit more aggressive, especially the college pitchers, college drafted pitchers. Push them, use the data and the scouts to, maybe not be as aggressive as they've been in the past with guys like Jordan Hicks or Andre Palante, but maybe not be as slow with guys like they were in 2025 with Eshawn Henderson and Pete Hansen and Bryson Mounts. Like, they had older pitchers at AAA. I just would have liked to have seen those guys get a taste because their stuff was grading out well. And it just would have been nice to see him get a little taste of AAA. So
Right.
that's all to say that like I think the high school kids, I think you need to be as cautious and as slow as you possibly can, both hitters and pitchers, unless they're just so immensely talented that they're forcing your hand. I think with Quinn, winter warm up, and we missed you, Nate.
I know. I
we
know.
missed your one question about hair, and
But it was what an epic question though.
He
I had
has
the whole
not shut
room.
up about it. It is unbelievable.
Well, think about it. A year later, I mean, my brain is basically melted. I mean, between the non-alcoholic chemicals and the alcoholic chemicals, but it stuck with me, and I wasn't intentionally bringing it up. It was just like, oh yeah, there's Ben. He's beautiful. There's a hair thing going on, or there's Nate, but like so. Yeah, I know. With Quinn, I think what stuck with me about his winter warm-up thing is, and for 2 straight winter warm-ups, he asks, we've asked him about his approach and if he's ready for the majors and if that's what he's pushing towards, And I think what really sticks out to me is he never felt last year like he was in sync. Now, he might have
Right.
been in sync mechanically. He might not have been. I don't know. I think sometimes because he is overly focused on trying to get as good as he can be, I think he throws himself out of whack. I think that's kind of like the mental battle he's going to have to go through as he makes his major league ascent, battling himself, like his inner demons, his inner thoughts. I think that's really his biggest, and I think that hurts him sometimes. But he swears up and down when you talk to people in the organization, it's that there were some outside things, some outside noise that he has gotten out of his life, that he's cleared out of his life, and he's kind of back in the same headspace of where he was entering the 2024 season, and also better physically, a little bit more lined up mechanically. And I'm not one to get excited or overly excited about any type of spring anything ever, even this early or even later. But I think him throwing 96 miles an hour in the first spring, his first spring taste, I think that without, like, you could tell he wasn't straining his body. It was just the natural Quinn Matthews mechanics, although he seemed a little shorter. I think that it's a good sign that he's on the right track. But, like you said, a 16% walk rate or whatever the hell it was last year, even with the 25% K rate, like that's never been Quinn Matthews. That wasn't what he was in Stanford. That, maybe his sophomore year at Stanford when he was pitching out of the bullpen. But that he's a command first guy. And when command first goes and you're throwing, you're walking 16 or whatever it was percent of hitters, 15.8 or 16.5. I don't remember what it was, but, it is a huge speed bump. And that's the main thing with him now. Can he keep his velocity? His sliders reworked a little bit, and we'll see if he can maintain the mechanics without losing his mental fortitude in the process.
Right. I wanted to ask you about a couple of guys that are very likely going to be on the 26-man roster this year. At least it seems that way. I think that you've watched a lot more Nathan Church and Jose Fermin than either of us. We're about to watch, I think, a lot of those guys. I think that those guys might get 400 or 500 at-bats this year. What should we expect from Nathan Church and Jose Fermin? Are these guys Major League Baseball players?
I think I have been one to be incredibly critical and dismissive of both of these gentlemen. But that comes from a place where I think in the past years, these are the kind of guys that the Cardinals have overly pushed on us, right? Like, granted they traded Richie Palacios, but the Jose Fermin and Nathan Church are the kind of guys that you would just get tired of. Like, why is he still in the lineup? Why are they still in the lineup? And that's because you wanted the Cardinals to win. But I think that on this particular team at this stage and whatever the Cardinals are doing, I think that both of these guys deserve a real chance. I don't know what exactly a real chance means. It's kind of a throwaway line, really. But I think that they deserve at bats. They both have produced really well at the minor leagues over the last couple of years. And I just, like I said, Nathan Church in particular, I think Jose Fermin, where I struggle with Jose Fermin is that
he's kind of my son. I
was going to say, if Ben will just pull his shirt down a little bit, you'll see he's got Fermin tattooed right under his collarbone. He's kind of all in on this guy.
I was talking about this on Jake's show. I don't think that he's the second coming. I don't think he's going to change the course of the franchise, but I think that he has a very nice plate approach. I think that he, when he swings, which is not that hard, he makes quality contact. And I was kind of talking about how his lack of being good at any defensive position kind of makes him this. He can play anywhere, kind of poorly, but it's a bat first player. And so anyway, I'll let you continue. But I like Jose Fermin.
You said it on Jake's show, and you repeat it here. I do think your angle of he's so bad at defense they can play him anywhere is an interesting take. That
well,
you
what
don't
I mean
normally...
is like he's not a slam dunk shortstop. He's not a slam dunk second baseman, but he can play everywhere.
Yeah,
He's so bad he's good.
Yeah, it's kind of
Kyle.
his benefit
Kyle gets
that
what
he's
I
not.
mean. Nate, you Kyle gets what I'm saying here.
You know what?
I've lived my
I love it because by your logic, I could play any position at the major league level.
You
right now.
absolutely could, and you'd be equally terrible at all of them.
Equal to Jose
I built my
Fermin. Give him a little credit.
My whole reputation on being so bad at everything that people just let me do whatever I want. Look, I think there is utility. There's a utility aspect to Jose Fermin's game that you are right about, Ben. What I always had the issue with Jose Fermin is that he the Cardinals never really let him play short. Being in the minors and he plays him short, and then he get up to the majors and he would never touch it. Now his arm is weak. He throws from a weird angle sometimes. It gets a little weird. But I never understood why he would take shortstop innings at the minors, especially when they weren't working on developing him. So what I like is what they're doing with him. I think every one of those infielders, whether it be Cesar Prieto or Brian Torres, any one of those Thomas Sajaci, any one of those minor league infielders should be getting outfield reps. They should be becoming utility players. I think that's the best thing for the organization because if you can backfill the utility role, then that's one less role. It's it's kind of like the back end of a starting rotation. If you can fill that utility role internally, then that's $3 million you don't have to spend, $5 million you don't have to spend, or getting into arbitration years. You don't have to worry about those guys. You can move them on or do whatever you want. Like the utility role is important, and now's the time to really exercise that utility role within the organization. And I am hopeful, especially with the right-handed swing, that Jose Fermin gets a little bit of a chance and opportunity to prove what he's capable of. I'll get back to Jose Fermin in a second because I'm going to trash Nolan Gorman in the process, and I can't wait to do that. With Nathan Church, I know, and I'm going to be a dick. But with Nathan Church, he is a great fourth outfielder, and there are reasons to think that he could. And I'll be honest, I think Nathan Church and Victor Scott II should be in a battle in spring for the starting center field job. It's not going to happen. The Cardinals have fallen in love with Victor Scott, reasonably so. He's an easy kid to fall in love with, and there's so much to dream on, and the athleticism and unlocking and the bunting and blah blah blah, yada yada yada. But I think that Nathan Church is a better current player all the way around, from a game standpoint. But I think that says more about what those two players are than it says about like Nathan Church's ability to be an everyday starting center fielder. In some ways, I think Nathan Church is the center field equivalent of Pedro Pajes. I know that there's people in the Cardinals organization that think Nathan Church could be the center field equivalent of Brendan Donovan. I would suggest that that's not the case, but that, they see that he slaps the ball around and he can yank a pitch over the wall, and, he's a left-handed hitter and he's a tough at bat and he works counts. So that's all just to say that like Nathan Church is what he is. He's a fourth outfielder. He might be Michael Ciani. He should be battling for the center field job. It should not just be given to Victor Scott. But that is what he is. He's the utility outfielder role that might get something more.
Well, before we move off of him, I would like to remind everyone too that, of course, Nathan Church, we meet on Saturdays. You're all of my sheep are welcome here at Nathan Church.
Come to the flock. Bring the flock.
Yes, bring the flock. We normally have barbecue.
Oh.
I cannot wait for the Cardinals to have a player named Ben. I'm tired of these Nate jokes.
Do you only barbecue birds? That's bad, right?
No, well, it is bird based. Typically, we often
Squab.
have it's. So what do you say?
Squab.
Squab
barbecue. It's a pigeon, Nathan.
Oh, okay. I like morning dove. That's a good barbecue.
Right.
Morning dove.
Yeah.
That brings back St. Louis nightmares, doesn't it? Those little morning doves. Anyways, I wanted to say, going back to Fermin, I would love to see Jose Fermin and his arm isn't the caliber of your regular third. But like, I don't understand why Nolan Gorman is on scholarship. I don't get why.
Couldn't
even
agree
now-
with you more.
Yeah.
And look, he again another great guy, another sweet kid, another like he has the arm for third base. He has the power to dream on. But what has he done aside from like a 3-month time span in his entire career that makes you think that major league success is sustainable? You know, I don't think that anybody. There's a few players who should just get the starting job. Of course, you know, Mason Wynn. I think, you know, if they're going to run with Weatherholt, then that's just what they're going to do. I even think you have to give Jordan Walker a little bit of leeway as compared to Nolan Gorman, although that's a frustrating conversation for what will hopefully probably be in another 15 or 20 minutes. But I don't get why it doesn't matter what Nolan Gorman does, how bad he is at his, quote, natural position, because he's been terrible at his natural position, which is third base, or how bad he was at second base, or how inconsistent he is at the plate, or how they change things, or how he changes things, or how they keep things the same. I don't get what he brings and has brought and has shown them that warrants him being penned in at third base. You know, in my opinion, that should be Thomas Ajacey, Jose Fermin,
Yes.
at least competing for third with Nolan Gorman.
And
Chicks
somehow
dig the long ball.
This is hung over to the new regime. There's something, and I think that's what it's just exit velo. It has to just be the exit velo, and they hope he stops sucking. But it's like I looked it up last night. I think it's 800 major league at bats and 0.1 F/WAR. I think is where we're at over the last 2 seasons. It's bad.
And that's, you know, his calling card since the Cardinals drafted him is he would go through 2 to 4 week stretches where he would be, I mean, legitimately the best left-handed hitter in at whatever level he was, you know, dominant. But then the problem was it would be 6 to 10 weeks of just, you know, dog shit swing decisions and at bats.
Yeah.
And that's followed him, you know. When you're that streaky, and maybe they think that they can cut down on the streaks, maybe they found the mechanical thing. I mean, his swing looks the exact same to me, but you know, I just don't get why he gets a free pass. And like I said, next year, if Jordan Walker has the year that he had in 2025, I would say the same thing about Jordan Walker.
Mhm.
I'm kind of there now, but
Yeah.
I think it just makes more sense with the depth in the organization, right? Because they don't have a ton of outfield depth in the organization. They have some interesting infield depth that I think it makes him more expendable and should allow for other opportunities for players where it doesn't appear to be doing.
We have one of the big open questions for this season, and we've mentioned it a bunch on our show, is what will be the leash on those two guys in particular. I ended 2025 feeling with both of them. It's like we kind of got, like, all we'd been asking for was consistent plate appearances for both of those for an extended time so we could make a real evaluation. And we got that last year pretty much, and they both were bad. And so I was pretty content with, all right, 26, you know, Walker's maybe back in the minors or they're moving on from him. Same for Gorman. Maybe they're moving on from him, but there's no way we're going into 26 with both of them as penciled in as the starter. And then here we are, both of them penciled in as the starter, which we've already gone over that. We don't need to repeat it, but I'm curious, as like a big open question will be, what is their leash? Is Gorman like they're saying, all right, he's the starter because they want to go in with confidence. They want to say you're the guy, and every player wants that. But they actually mean, dog, if it's not working by May, like, you're out. Or is it truly, we're gonna give you till the end of the summer or something, you know, and we'll just play it as it happens. I don't know, but it'll be really curious to see.
Me too. The runway of it all, even though runway is not a current term that is used by the front office, I think there's still the runway question, you know, roster wide that hopefully will get answered. And hopefully these guys stay healthy so that we don't have that as an excuse.
Yes.
Because you could have that for Jordan Walker a little bit last year, right? And so, but even still, it was 400 something plate appearances, you know. But I mean, I'm a big Jordan Walker guy, so I don't want to go too far. But I also was fully content to say, let's start him in the minors this year. Like, you need to have a 120 WRC plus for a month in the minors before we even talk about anything with you again. But here we are. He's the starting right fielder.
Yeah. And I do know that they believe heavily in that Casey Chenoweth, who is the AA hitting instructor that they brought up to the major leagues that has had positive results with Jordan. And I think that they think that, and, you know, he has a positive relationship with Nolan Gorman, and Lars Newbar and pretty much everybody around. He was part of, and he was somewhat instrumental in rebuilding Victor Scott as well. So it's just like, it's nice that they feel that he might be the key to helping unlock these guys. I just don't necessarily know if I've ever seen enough out of Nolan Gorman, even with the 27 home run season he had or whatever it was, that to think that, this is a player to build a team around.
Yeah. I'd like to ask you about a couple of younger corner bats. You mentioned Deniel Ortiz in the opening. Obviously, I'd love to hear your take on him. What I was really excited is that you and Walton have him as your 15th best prospect. He is not rated by most other national resources. So I'd love to hear why you're so excited about him. Obviously, I'm on board. And I want to throw in Blaze Jordan there too, because I think, Blaze Jordan, I've known this kid's name since he was 15. For some reason.
It's a cool name, though, too. It's partly just
name.
because it's a cool name.
It is a great name. He's been famous since he was 15.
Not name.
He got a big bonus when he signed, and he's now, for some reason, a Cardinal.
You think if his name was Ben Nathanson, that you would be as interested in him?
Well, there was a Joe Nathan. Remember him? So I'm waiting for a Nathan.
That's what you're waiting for?
No one man should have all that power.
Wow.
Nathan, I'm waiting. If in my lifetime there's a Nathan in Major League Baseball, I'm done. I'm over it.
Think about this, though. So Joe Nathan was probably Jonathan Nathan. And what is that but Nathan?
Wow.
You're right. I stand corrected. After this, I'm done.
I imagine Nate just sits in front of the mirror and says, Nathan.
Wake up.
His children are crying behind him.
Wake up.
That is amazing. We'll start with Ben Nathanson himself, Blaze Jordan. I think the kid is interesting, right? Everybody talks about back when he was 15 and a prodigious power of, 500-foot home runs and showcases.
I've seen the video. Yeah.
And even, I'll tell you, even when he gets a hold of one now as a 22, 23-year-old, whatever he is, it's so hard to keep track of that. I guess 23 now or whatever.
He's 23, yep.
He still crushes the baseball when he gets a hold of it. I remember a couple of weeks ago on KMOX, and it might be a couple months ago, they were talking to Chaim Bloom on Sports on a Sunday Morning about guys to keep an eye on. And of course, it was Weatherholt and Bernal and blah, blah, blah. And Chaim Bloom was quick to bring up Blaze Jordan. And the thing that he always talks about, the thing that they've always loved when they drafted him in Boston, and, part of the reason why they acquired him, back then at the deadline or whatever it was, because who can keep track, but when they acquired him at the deadline, is because he has a rare combo of the ability to make contact and hit the ball hard while making good swing decisions. So everything tells you that he should be a better, more consistent major league potential contributor at the minor league level than he's been. The problem is, as we've learned, and granted, the type of contact's a little bit different, but as we've learned with Jordan Walker, it doesn't really matter. And, you guys talked about this with Ben Clemens a little bit last week. I thought that was a great interview over at Fangraphs. The type of contact you're making matters, of course. Mm-hmm. But, I guess what separates Jordan Walker, the prospect, from Jordan Walker, the major leaguer, and what we've seen on a Blaze Jordan, the minor leaguer, is that Jordan Walker, he really big, like tank big.
Scary.
After his rookie.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
Nate wouldn't even ask him about his hair when Nate was in there.
It was intimidating.
Yeah.
No one should be that tall.
Exactly. Or that burly. He was 265, I think. Remember, it was going to be like 265 or 266. And,
I couldn't even see the hair to ask about it.
Exactly. It was just
all the way up there.
Yeah. I needed a ladder to be able to see if he had hair. But so Jordan Walker has slimmed down. But what Blaze Jordan hasn't done is Blaze Jordan's still kind of like this weird doughy level, and not the fun doughy like Yoel Pozo in 2025 or even
it's Rip Pozo now.
I know, I hate him now. Why would he do that to himself?
I know, the Pozo Bozo. I mean, I will always be a Pozo Bozo, but you definitely kind of like a doughy Pozo.
Wait, has anybody Pozempic? Has anybody said that yet? Is that good? Yeah.
I love that.
Wait.
Oh my God.
That might have been in the Birds coordinator.
Okay, it might have been. Yeah. I felt like I stole that.
Oh God. But so Blaze Jordan is still pretty like he's in shape for a average human being. Like he's not pudgy, he's not a mess, but he's just like he's kind of sloppy in a weird, strong way. And I think it limits some of his athleticism, and it also limits what he can do on the bases and in the field. He's kind of a quagmire of a prospect, especially if you watched him down the stretch with Memphis. There was not a moment, even when he was hitting the ball hard, where you thought this guy has major league potential. Not one moment, and I mean that, like the entire time down the stretch after entering the Cardinals organization. But I do see when you go back and watch his time with Boston, you can see the glimpses of it. And if he can just get to some power, then maybe that changes. But I'm a skeptic of Blaze Jordan right now.
The prospect savant, there are some numbers that do treat him well, but when you look at like the WRC plus and some of the surface stats, and the first base only, and there's just not. But the Cardinal, like you said, they went out and got him. They like him. They've acquired him twice, so they like this guy. It's very funny to me.
He kind of his profile fundamentally just from a data standpoint tells you what the Cardinals are looking for, what they're going to try to acquire. And they didn't really do it with Ty Pete. Ty Pete's a whole different beast, but like in the draft, they're going to look for guys who can impact the baseball while making good swing decisions and try to figure out the rest along the lines. And that's what Blaze does, and that's what makes him intriguing. And if he can just, clean it up and find his optimization of it all, then he could be playing first base for the Cardinals in a year and be productive. It's just that he's still really far away, even, or I guess, regardless of what the underlying data tells you.
Sure.
Who was the other one? We got distracted.
Deniel Ortiz.
Can you believe that? How did I forget Deniel? So let me tell you, just from when I read other scouting services, like analysis of Deniel Ortiz, I don't think they're watching the same player that I'm watching. I think a lot of times they're going off of, maybe some other teams' scouting reports, also maybe over-investing into his JUCO pedigree, where he was a fringy everything with some interesting raw power. Since entering the Cardinals organization, they've cleaned him up, and he's cleaned up quite a bit. Now, he's still, people will say he's a below-average third baseman. He has a potential to be average at first base. I would tell you that he's every bit of minor league average at third base, which makes me believe he'll be every bit of like major league average at first if he has to move over to first.
Right.
And so when I say I'm kind of tricky, I do this on purpose. When I say minor league average, he's right now he couldn't play third at the major league level, but you could dream on him becoming average at third base for a short period of time. One of the things that people kind of hit him on is being a below average runner, but he's an average runner. He actually is pretty quick first to third. You look at his stolen bases. He put up good stolen base numbers. That won't last as he rises the charts. That just won't. That number will go down and go down and go down, because he doesn't have like breakaway speed like that. But he does have pretty decent lateral movement. He does get around the bases decently enough. There isn't a part of his game that really drags him. The two things that I'll be keeping an eye on, it's really hard to tell with prospects who have only really played at low A, is he is really bad against fastballs above 93 miles an hour and almost terrible against fastballs 95 or higher when he's swinging it. Now, keep in mind that when you're talking about and he didn't play in the DSL, the Dominican Summer League, but when you're talking about the complex of the DSL or even Palm Beach, you're not really swinging at a lot of fastballs because a lot of them aren't in the strike zone.
Sure.
So a lot of the 95 plus mile an hour fastballs that he's seen have been throwaway pitches, or they've been him chasing, which gets him in trouble. The other thing about his profile that's really interesting, you'll look and you'll see, he hasn't struck out. He's not striking out like so much that it would hinder his profile. As a matter of fact, during his time at Palm Beach, every month he got a little bit better, reduced his strikeout rate, and his walk rate stayed pretty level, kind of raised a little bit. But he still makes interesting and somewhat poor swing decisions within an at-bat that kind of get him in trouble, even though he carried a 13-plus walk rate throughout the entire season. So the walk rate is a little confusing when you take it in with everything else. Now, the walk rate does tell you that he is patient and he knows the strike zone, the outside of the fringe of the strike zone well enough to not get himself in trouble, which is a very, very important skill to have. So I think when the other outlets are looking at him, they're going off of some bad scouting reports about the athlete that he is, the speed he is, the agility he has, maybe some bad reports on the swing and how it looked in his JUCO years. Maybe caught him at a bad weekend in Palm Beach, and probably see the data behind it that says he's having trouble hitting 93 mile an hour or faster pitches, and they're probably projecting that by the time he gets to Double A, he's going to struggle. But I don't think that. I think he has a smart enough eye that once he starts to see more high velocity fastballs in the zone, sure, he's not going to be, he's not going to hit 300 or do anything like that. He'll probably come back to the pack between 250 and 265 with a 360 to 3, and this is at the minor league level, not at the major league level, a 360 on base percentage while he's slugging, because he does what Deniel Rodriguez does, which is turn on the inside pitch and pull the ball in the air for power, which, as you guys know, and you talked about last week and in various other weeks, is the name of the game for power hitters right now. And it's what they're trained to do more so now than ever.
Right. Yeah, and
Lift
it's
and pull.
it's the numbers that we see, like his exit velocity numbers, they're all so high. And then kind of his build has made me want to dream on him. And it's obviously hitting the ball hard, like you just said, and to repeat you, I guess. It's the most important trait a baseball player can have. I'm not really worried about where he ends up defensively if he keeps hitting like this.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, this is what I really like about Deniel Ortiz is he is something that I don't think the Cardinals have really had in a really long time. And that's a wild card. Deniel Rodriguez does not count as a wild card. He's kind of been in the scouting community since he was 12 years old in Philadelphia. It just got kind of weird. And then he went back to the Dominican, and, that allowed the Cardinals to sign him for $300K. They kept the people up. But I think Deniel Rodriguez has been a pretty highly thought of prospect for many, many years, even before he blew up the scene in 2025. Deniel Ortiz is a JUCO kid drafted in the 13th round or 16th round, whatever it was, who did not have an at-bat in the year he was drafted and has real raw power. Like, the Cardinals organization lacks real raw power that's beginning to actualize. And he's a perfect wild card or lottery ticket, but in a way that is different than the other wild cards or lottery tickets that they have in the organization.
Yeah. Usually the wild card lottery tickets are like the Ty Pete mold, right? Where it's like all the tools in the world, but they strike out at 40% of the time or whatever. And so it's if they can make the hit tool gains, everything else will follow, but they almost never make those hit tool gains. Josh Baez was kind of that and made the hit tool gains, and now look where he is, right? So seeing Deniel kind of come at it from a different angle is interesting. And I guess as we talk about variety of prospects and variety of potential outcomes, it is nice to have these different versions of this, and hopefully one or two of them hit and click.
I want to also bug you. So you in the larger baseball sphere disagree about him so far. However, I think he's going to start shooting up lists very soon. Another one that I thought kind of stuck out is that you guys had Chase Davis at number 26, which is not super high by any means, but Fangraphs had him at 50. I think I can't remember where Baseball America. He came in. All the skills in the world. He is as smooth as they come. He got the high draft pick, a lot of money. He has not been great. I get the sense that maybe you still believe in him a little bit more than people outside of our little Cardinal sphere.
Yeah, I will die being the high man on Chase Davis. I guess where I get stuck is when I watch this kid, I just think, and it's not about how smooth he is or the athleticism he has or the loud tools. I just think, stop being so damn passive at the plate. Just embrace the fact that your swing is meant to hit opposite field line drives and build off of that. He has a really big issue with breaking pitches, specifically low and in on him, and even fastballs low and in on him. And he's just way too passive at the plate a lot of times. when you watched him down the stretch in August, and also when he's at his best, he's just up there hacking. He's not looking necessarily for the pitch down the middle or the pitch to pull for a home run. He's just waiting for that outside breaking pitch or that outside high fastball to line to left field or to get his hands extended and pull over the right field wall. And if he can just commit to that full time, the thing I always say, and I'm sure the people who listen to me on various podcasts or Wednesdays with Walton are tired of me saying is that, like, when I watch him, he seems, if you could be really far away as a prospect and still seem so close, that is Chase Davis to me, especially because he turned himself into excellent defensive center fielder with a plus arm and, who can run the bases, even if it's not stealing bases, like he just seems like if you could get in there and remove the passive part of his brain at the plate, that would make him honestly like a starting center fielder caliber major leaguer.
So it's not that he is being overmatched. It's that he's struggling to decide to like execute on his pitch is what you're saying.
Yeah. Execute his plan on his pitch. Right. I don't feel like he knows what his plan is. I think his plan is to adapt to the pitcher. And sure, I'm sure one of the things they've worked with him is, find your groove, get the pitch you want, work from your strengths. But I don't think that when he gets in there, in the box, I don't think he's willing to commit to his strengths, and then, there is the issue when he gets to the higher levels. Well, they'll start picking on him low and inside with breaking pitches and fastballs. And what will he do then? And, he's going to have to adjust to that, which to me is his biggest question. It's not the stats. It's not any of the other stuff. It's just how is he willing to adjust to the low and inside pitch? And also, can he commit to just doing what he does best, which is just getting his arms extended and letting the bat do the work?
Yeah. All right. I think we're going to move the show along, but I want to ask one more specific prospecty question. We're talking about young boys right now, young men.
Ooh.
I want to talk about a very young man or boy, Yairo, Padilla. You are high on him. It seems like a lot of people are high on him. He's 18 years old. Why should we be so excited about this kid?
I'm just a slutty little whore. I don't know if I'm allowed to talk. About
He's 18.
boys.
He's 18.
Okay, then let's talk about this slutty little boy.
I'm just gonna pull up the Epstein files here real quick.
Joke's on you. I'm too poor for island hopping.
And that's what held you back. I get it. All right, go on, Kyle.
So I'm actually, and this is where it's fun, is I am actually the low man on Yairo Padilla. Okay. And I do think it's Gyro, but we're going to call him Yairo because he has not corrected me and no one in the Cardinals organization has corrected me. So until I am corrected, we'll continue with Yairo. Here's what I see with Yairo Padilla. The reason everybody loves him is because the Cardinals were quick to point out to the third-party industries between the 2024 and 2025 season that this lanky kid who was 5'9" in 1 year had grown to 6'4" and was filling out. And then he was also, as he found his way stateside, he was doing a lot of the drive line work, dealing with weighted bats and, doing all of those advanced reps, with modern technology. And, when you're talking about a 6'4", 185 pound shortstop who's 18 years old, who everybody thinks is going to stay at short, who can actually make impact with the baseball, who is doing everything modernly and is just getting bigger and bigger. I think that the organization got really excited in part because they hadn't had anybody like this in a long time. And I think they could not wait to tell the third party people through their scouting system. I really do think. And then everybody blew up and ran with it. And then, of course, when Yairo Padilla has a really good 2025 and has increased exit velocity and 90th percentile exit velocity, it bears itself out to more excitement. But when I watch the kid, I seem to be the only person who sees the lack of polish in his ability at short. He's an 18-year-old. Mm-hmm. I do think he has the potential to play short in the long haul, but I just see him right now and I'm like, I think that people are overestimating how good he is currently at short and how easy it's going to be for him to maintain a positive impact at short as a defender. He has a really great arm, but he his feet work get a little weird sometimes. He's still trying to understand his body now that it's bigger, and he has not made those strides just yet. And because he hasn't made them just yet, you don't know if he ever will. I'm quick to say, as an 18-year-old kid, I mean, just think about how much different you were as an 18-year-old to 19-year-old Nate, to 20-year-old Ben, to 21-year-old Nate, to 22-year-old Kyle. Like, they're just weird years.
Yeah. Those are the three weird guys, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't want to be around either of us, any of us. I mean, you don't really want to be around us now, but particularly not.
You don't even know if
then.
your name's Yairo or Gyro. You're still trying to figure that. But so, and then I watch him at the plate and can see why people think that Yairo Padilla is going to make a tremendous impact. He hits the ball hard when he impacts the baseball. But when I watch his swing, I see a kid who looks like he is swinging with weighted bats. His swing is not smooth. It's choppy. It lacks a certain fluidity. And, one thing I'm quick to point out, and power is always the last thing to develop when you're talking about hitters. It is. But there is no present power in his game. Sure, he hits the ball hard, but he doesn't really do anything with the balls he's hitting hard. It's a lot of singles. And I've noticed over the years that your impact kids from the Caribbean islands, especially from the Dominican, will show over the fence power in the lowest levels of the minors. And he has not done that. So until I see him, whether it be at the complex or Palm Beach, start to hit for power, I'm going to be the low man on him. And it doesn't need to be robust power. It doesn't need to be Rainiel Rodriguez power. It just needs to be like in 500 plate appearances, if he hits 10 home runs and 20 doubles, I am in. And I am in loud and as a top 10 prospect in the organization. But right now, I don't see him having that capability or demonstrating that capability. I can dream on the raw stuff, but you have to do a lot of dreaming in order to extrapolate it. And that's why I'm a little bit back on him. But that's not to take away from the fact that all of the raw tools, the raw skills, the raw athleticism is there for him. And that's why the services love him in a way that I don't necessarily.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna so you don't we can see the potential upside of him, but he's not your favorite. We're gonna end our prospect section, but before we do, who's the one guy that maybe our listeners has not heard about that you are very excited about?
Well, I think so if you want to stay in the low levels of the minor leagues, I think that the two guys worth keeping an eye on at the Dominican level who will be making their way stateside, shortstop Sebastian Dos Santos, who does have power, might not be the gifted athlete that Yairo Padilla is, but made some impact and has some skills to dream on. And then another shortstop from the DSL named Miguel Hernandez, who I think, honestly, are better baseball players than Yairo Padilla and who have actual in-game power that gets me excited. I would say that those are two guys at the low levels that I would be keeping an eye on. And then after that, I think my favorite thing to do is talk about sleepers, right? Guys who could make a major league impact within the next 2 years that maybe some people are writing off. And I'll tell you one guy that comes to my mind is an outfielder, kind of a choppy defensive outfielder. And again, I don't necessarily know if he's going to make a major league debut, but think of someone like outfielder Zach Levinson, a right-handed swinger, not a whole lot of waste in motion in his mechanics. And what the Cardinals got him doing in part is swinging to make impact, having a purposeful swing, a swing designed to do damage instead of just trying to make contact. That was one of the things, aside from the mechanical issues and the prep issues for Joshua Baez, it was, hey, swing to do damage. And once Zach Levinson started swinging to do damage, he started doing damage. There's a lot to dream on there as a potential right-handed platoon option, for a team in a rebuild. He comes to my mind. I know that it's not the sexy thing to do, but don't forget about Cooper Jerpy. I cannot stress enough how good Cooper Jerpy is. He's another player that Keith Law shits on every chance that he gets. And, I think that the scouting service is scared to back because of the volatility in his mechanics. But what he does is so unique and it's so filthy that we should not forget about how good he can be and what he's capable of. And then, as another pitcher who isn't a highly acclaimed or first round pick, I think Ethan Young, the righty out of ECU, the Cardinals' 5th round draft pick, who did not make a debut in 2025. I would keep an eye on him. His fastball slider combo is really interesting. And then I think that the fun thing about the Cardinals, aside from the players that they've brought in, players that they've drafted, is I think that they really do have a good cluster of sleeper under the radar prospects that I'll be whining about for the next couple of years.
Well, we'll have to. We won't wait 100 episodes again to have you back. Maybe we'll do a mid-season check-in when we've got some numbers from the minor league seasons this year and see how some of these guys have developed. But if people want to not wait for you to come on our show and want to just seek you out and find your material, where should people go? How can they engage in more Kyle Reis?
Be at the Funny Bone on Saturday night, bring a matinee. So, you can follow me on Twitter at KYLER416. That's where I do my best work. And then you can, I guess, because I don't think the Birds on the Black exists anymore. This is actually gives me a chance to tell you how much I love Cardinals gifts and how he changed my life and how I miss him if you were here. But I guess I do most of my work now over at the Cardinal Nation. And you can find me on Wednesdays with Walton and Reis in podcast form. We used to be part of the Scoops Network, but they sucked. So now we are our own thing. And they didn't suck. I just being goofy.
Sure.
They suck. They suck. But,
well, now I don't know what to think, Kyle.
Yeah.
I believe the last thing someone tells me. So,
good. Good. Always believe the last thing somebody tells you. But so, over at the Brian's website, and Brian is incredible. Brian's doing stuff, he's providing content from the backfields. No one else is doing that. Not at the level he is. He has a subscription. It's like $80 a year. It's more than worth it. But if you just prefer his prospect guide is awesome. And that's like $45 or something like that. You can get, let me start over. You can get the book itself, which is an actual whole ass book with like spiral binding for like
we love a
$40.
whole ass book.
Yeah, and it has like, we love a good whole ass book. And
you get the whole ass book?
Oh yeah, you get the whole ass. It's every page is a picture of my ass. It's so small.
Okay.
You gotta look for it.
Wow.
But Brian, it's like 200 something pages. He has the history of draft picks, the history of his write-ups. It has all 52 of my write-ups if you get the book. But then he has a PDF form that's only like $20 or something like that. You can get, and he'll email you all of our updated rankings and everything. It's really awesome. Anyways, that's me prostituting myself to just say, check out the Cardinal Nation. If it's something that minor leaguers or something you're interested in, you should spend some time there.
Yeah. Hey, we love doing that on this show because now we're going to remind everyone that our show is listener supported on patreon.com. You can check out all of our different tiers and everything at patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. Subscribers of any level get access to the private Discord server. It's the Bird Score. Tweet, baby. Kyle, we got to get you in there sometime.
Well, okay, let's do it right fucking now. Okay, so look, I tried doing this weeks ago.
Did you really?
I really did. And I got a part of some Discord service where like Skip Carey or Chip Carey or
Skip
Chip
Carey.
Condon or Skip Carey. He's dead, right? Anyways, he was tweeting in there and I don't really know what was going on. But so yes, walk me through. Tell me step by step what I need to do.
All right, I'm going to send you a link. Okay.
No, that's too much for me. You gotta tell me what to do.
Give me your
this
phone.
is falling apart. Well, we're going to get you on there. I literally just dropped a link in the chat. And I'm going to email it to you as well. So if you want to hang out with ourselves, with Kyle, and a bunch of other great St. Louis Cardinal fans and writers and others, check out the Patreon at patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. And we also appreciate anyone. He just joined.
Oh my goodness! I
In
got
the
the
middle of
notification.
Yep, you did it. You solved it. You clicked the button.
There's C70. I'm in.
Yep. All right.
It says he slid into the server on my screen. It's disgusting.
Did you type that? So anyway, patreon.com/talkingaboutbirds. And we really appreciate anyone who takes the moment to review the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. It does help. And it only takes a couple minutes. And Also, tell your friends, tell your family. Hambone, where else can people find us online?
We're on all the socials, Nathan. We're on Blue Sky, Instagram, TikTok. We have a YouTube. You can watch Nate and Kyle drink NA beers on YouTube and listen to the show. All of that is available, plus t-shirts and more at talkingaboutbirds.com. You can email us at talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. You can call us and leave a voicemail or send us a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737. And they are currently Discording while I'm doing the ad read right now.
Guys, I have to tell you too. I'm gonna sell myself out. I tried for a while. I was gonna call you every week and just leave groaning noises.
So
I really was.
you wouldn't be the first to use our phone line exclusively for bits. And you know what? I take it. You know, we get calls of all sorts of things. And honestly, we welcome it. So if anyone wants to call us and drop, you can do opening bits, you can do jokes, you can ask us questions, or you can just say whatever the hell you want.
How about if you want to give a fake phone number out to somebody like at the bar who's hitting on you or something, 848-48-BIRDS. Hand it out. We'll take it all.
Yeah, we'll take it all.
I love that. I'm gonna start leaving like by telephone polls and shit like that.
By telephone
At the local
polls.
college.
Yep. Where people are going to find telephone numbers. So we all know this.
The men's room, maybe?
There you go.
Ooh.
Hey, looking for a good time? Call 848-48-BIRDS. We actually, friend of the show, who's been on the show before, Akira, has said we have a T-shirt that says "I enjoy talking about birds," and he's in the UK, and they can't wear that over there because birds means something different in the UK,
Right?
or more commonly something different over there. So I don't know. 848-48-BIRDS could come off as something different entirely.
I'm
too.
offended by it. Yeah.
All right. So we've done this for several years in a row now. As we ramp up to the start of the regular season, we like to preview the rest of the NL Central, kind of take a quick pulse check on what the other teams did in the offseason and what we might prepare for. This makes a little bit more sense when we're competing for the NL Central title, but I still think it's kind of fun to just check in on the other teams that we're going to see the most. And we are starting with the Cincinnati Reds. Hambone, why don't you kick us off here with some first takes on the Reds?
So we do this in the order of Fangraphs projected NL Central end of season rankings. Cardinals are at the bottom this year. And then it goes Reds, Brewers, Pirates, Cubbies. So we're starting with the Reds. And I kind of like the Reds. I'll kind of go over some of their big off-season transactions, and then I guess we can talk about their standing. But not too long ago, they brought Eugenio Suarez into the team on a free agent deal. I'm guessing he is only going to be a DH because they already have too many infielders to do stuff with. They also signed JJ Bleday, who was formerly with the Athletics of Nowhere. So those are the two big impacts to the position player group. They brought in Dane Myers, super speedy outfielder from Miami as well. And then they adjusted their bullpen a little bit by bringing in Brock Burke, Pierce Johnson, Caleb Ferguson, three guys who are inarguably bullpen pitchers. That is a matter of fact. But I think what's most exciting about this team, if you're a Reds fan, is Hunter Green is really fucking good at baseball. And they're going to have a healthy and I think effective Matt McClain, Ellie De La Cruz, Noel V. Marte. This team has some really high highs. However, I think their depth and bullpen are wanting. So I guess them being just above the Cardinals in the NL Central projected standings makes sense to me. But I could see Ellie De La Cruz putting up 10 WAR and winning the MVP and charging them to win the division.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that they are projected below even the the Pirates. I think probably
Pirates
if
got new players now, Nate. Did you read about this?
I know they got some new players. You're right. So
Marcelo Ozuna is there.
I hear that. I'd love to dig into. I know when we had Dan Zaborski on the show, he was talking about how the projection systems work and the thousands of iterations. I wonder, like, this team feels like it
the
has
answer is their pitching, Nate. It's Paul Skeens and those other guys.
I understand that, but I think the ceiling of the Cincinnati Reds is higher than I think anyone else in the NL Central. But of course, you're right. It could collapse and could collapse quite easily. But don't sleep on Nick Lodolo. He had a great year last year too, and he seems healthy.
Chase Burns is scary.
Chase Burns might be their best pitcher. Maybe probably not yet, but he is looks pretty good. And that lineup, like, we would kill to have just about any of these guys on the St. Louis Cardinals right now. I know that's a low bar to clear.
Would you take Alec Burleson or Sal Stewart right now?
Sal Stewart.
Damn.
I'm a big believer in Sal Stewart, though. I think he's going to be very good.
All right.
So I think they're going to be good. I know they snuck into the playoffs last year, and it would not surprise me if they are competing for a playoff spot this year. Kyle, what's your read on the Reds?
I think I'm excited. If I'm not a Cardinal fan, I think that if I'm a Reds fan, I'm really excited about that starting rotation. Like, I've always been a big Nick Lodolo fan. I loved him before they drafted him. I was always kind of like the high scout on him, the high analyst on him. I love Nick Lodolo if he can stay healthy,
Yeah.
And of course, Chase Burns is a prodigy. He's something spectacular. So, I mean, even if those guys can carry over what they're capable of to pair with Hunter Green, if Hunter Green can stay healthy, then I think that you're talking about a 1-2-3 that has the potential to be the best in the NL Central. With Andrew Abbott in there and Brady Singer in there. So I think that it tells you just how the potential that they have on the front end. That Mickey Mouse ballpark that they have, which isn't really a Mickey Mouse ballpark so much as it is just like, I don't know what kind of ballpark it is. You can always expect their offense to maybe outperform how good they are. Like, you asked the question, would you rather have Sal Stewart or Alec Burleson? I would personally rather have Alec Burleson, but if Alec Burleson's playing in that stadium,
Sure.
81 games, like, that's just my own thought about it. And that's, nothing against Sal Stewart, who I love. I just think that, I think the stadium kind of adds to it. And I'm a big Matt McClain fan. So look, I love the way that you phrased it. I think that even compared to the Cubs or the Brewers, and the Brewers always outkick their coverage. You guys talked about that the last couple of weeks with Dan Zaborski and, of course, Ben Clemens. They outkick their coverage always. But if you're talking about a team that probably has the highest upside, even if they don't reach it, it could potentially be a lot of fun to watch because of pitching and some of the bats. It's the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And I think what is disappointing about their offseason, the fact that they bring Eugenio in, who's kind of fun because, he had not a breakout year, but he kind of returned to, well, let me rephrase it. He had a absolutely god-awful first month of baseball and then was one of the best power hitters we've ever seen for about 4 months. And him coming back to the Reds, I think, is really fun. But that and J.J. Bleday, a 35-year-old Eugenio Suarez and J.J. Bleday being your big acquisitions, when you have such a stout group of we were talking about these pitchers and position players, I know that they really put their hat in the ring for Kyle Schwarber.
They apparently offered him more money, which is interesting.
And you talk about a bandbox, like seeing Schwarber, who can hit the ball out of the Grand Canyon, playing there would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But the fact that they didn't go out and grab somebody who isn't either, it's just they're two kind of misfit toys. Eugenio's getting older and he strikes out all the time. J.J. Bleday, I have just zero confidence of what he's going. He could be good next year, but he also could be kind of irrelevant. I would have liked to seen them bring in just a bigger name, a little more power, something to help those guys out. And I feel like they kind of not punted, but they just didn't spend any money, really, I guess.
Yeah, I think one thing that's really interesting about them is I don't necessarily think that after you talk about their major league potential, minor league depth, like guys like Chase Petty, Rhett Lauder, again, Sal Stewart, some of the guys who are knocking on the major league door, I don't believe that they really have the guns to get past it. So they're kind of entering a weird little window, in my opinion. And I love Alfredo Duno. I think he's a catcher on another level. But like from a prospect standpoint, I think it's Lauder, Petty, Sal Stewart, is Maxwell a little bit less, and then like nothing other than Alfredo Duno. So this is to not spend money other than for Eugenio. This could really hurt them.
I think that's why they're ultimately, I'm sure that's why in the Fangraphs projection system in the 1,000 or million whatever iterations, what happens most of the time in baseball is that a bunch of guys get hurt. And if you don't have anyone to fill it in, this team starts to fall apart pretty quickly. I mean, it was happening last year until they went on a little bit of a heater and ended up sneaking into the playoffs. But like they have to deal with the fact that almost everyone in this lineup is capable of running a 40% strikeout rate. They also are all capable of getting hurt, and they have no one to fill in if either of those two outcomes are true. And so that's where they have like the basement floor. Like they could be down with the Cardinals, or Eugenio hits 45 home runs. Ellie De La Cruz was hurt, it turned out, for like half the year last year. And he still put up, several WAR. He, like Ben said, I'm a huge fan. He's going to win an MVP in his career.
I just love watching him play baseball.
I feel about him. So,
and
you only need a few of those outcomes, though, to outweigh, maybe Matt McLean's put on some muscle in the offseason, and maybe he puts it all together. Like every single Noel V. Marte could be incredible. Like they have so many upside plays that, it could go in. I imagine this would be a fun place to be as a Reds fan. But you're right. It basically looks like they kind of need this all to click like right now, or I don't know what they do. But on the flip side of that, most of these guys are young, so like they're gonna have Hunter Green, Chase Burns, Nick Lodolo. They're gonna have Marte, Ellie, all these guys for a while. So if they could just get it together and supplement in a way like a good organization does, they could be really, really good.
Yeah. Tyler Stevenson is like the old man now, which is crazy because I feel like he was, when the Cardinals were playing well, he was like the wonderkins that was kind of coming out of nowhere. Just looking at the projected stats for 2026, again, looking at ZiP, the highest projected WRC plus they have out of all those guys, and I think we're high on a lot of those guys, especially coming into this year, is Ellie De La Cruz with a 114 WRC plus, which I think he'll probably eclipse that, but this is projecting that coin flip nature of this team. It's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, what Ellie are you going to get? Because he was running a huge strikeout rate for a while last year and was basically not helping the team for a while. And then he clicked back on, and they won a bunch of games and made the playoffs.
So if you guys had to guess right now, would you say that they are going to be second to last in the NL Central? Where are you projecting them sitting here on February 22nd, 23rd?
What's the record they're projecting?
Oh God, Nate, I got to pull it up now.
Okay.
What was their record last year?
Their record last year was 83-79, and they are projected this year to be 78-84 with a negative 27 run diff.
I got to take the over on that. I think they can win more than 78 games. In which case, I think that puts them above second to last in the Central. I mean, that's tough though, because that means like the NL Central is in a weird spot right now as far as who's actually the best and whatnot. But I think they'll do better than that record.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they basically match the record they had last year.
I am going to take the over as well. I think Hunter Green is about to ascend to be like a top 5 dude in MLB. And if Chase Burns can stay healthy, he is something to watch. So I think they're going to exceed that. I think they're going to have a really nice year. And it's going to be fun, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, when the Cardinals aren't competitive, I have such a different lens on this whole thing. It's like, yeah, all right, Reds go be good for a little bit
Sure.
while the Cardinals are bad. Like Cubs go be good while we're bad. Like I don't really care. I don't want any of them good in like 2 years.
Yeah.
Burn out now, I
There
guess.
you
go. To your question about where they might be in the standings, I still, if I'm playing it conservatively, I still think that they're the third best team in the NL Central. I know you guys will get into Pittsburgh eventually. I think that bringing in Marcell Ozuna was a terrible decision.
Me too.
And I think it's only going to make that team worse,
Yes.
even if he is putting up numbers. So I still think Pittsburgh is either the fourth or fifth place team. Probably the fourth place team, with the Cardinals being the fifth place team. And I can't quit the Brewers magic.
Yeah.
And as much as I hate the Cubs, I feel if I'm going to be realistic, I still think the Cubs are the second best team. But I do think it's going to be the fan in me wants it to be Brewers Reds. But I hate the Cubs so much that I have to assume they're going to ruin my summer.
I think that unfortunately, at least for this year and next year, the Alex Bregman signing is going to look really, really good, and I hate that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with you guys. I also don't think the Pirates made any smart move this offseason. It was nice to see them make moves, but it was all like, these are all wrong moves.
Their offense is better, but they're fully punting on defense, which is not going to work out well.
Well, Paul Skeens will strike out 350 guys.
They have such good pitching, and they're like, hey guys, it's all on you. You have to strike out it's insane.
Yeah.
I just feel like I look at, Jose Urquidy, and I like Braxton Ashcraft a lot. I know the Reds were a team that were extremely high on him, and it just whatever. But can you imagine being Bubba Chandler? You're kind of a raw, developed prospect, and now you're going to have everybody out there punting the ball. The funny thing is, eventually they're going to trade Mitch Keller, and he's going to go somewhere and be as good as he's capable of being, and show the ability of being, because the guys behind him can play defense.
Yeah.
I am a Mitch Keller believer as well.
Future Cardinal
would love to
Mitch
see
Keller.
Yes.
The Cardinal guy written all over him. We're gonna do a whole thing on the Pirates too, but I think we just got a sneak preview of our take on the on the Pirates. So I think we'll wrap up the Red. We gotta keep moving.
Let's
we knew
go.
This was gonna be a long ep. It's always a packed show here on Talking About Birds, but we got a couple more things to get through, and then we'll let you get out of here, Kyle. We've got a little bit of league news to cover. Hambone, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think we can run through these pretty quick. Nothing huge. Bruce Meyer has been elected as the MLB Players Association Executive Director. We talked about this, I think it was last week, with the ousting of the former leader for an inappropriate relationship with his sister-in-law. And I guess we jumped the gun because it wasn't actually reported that they were sleeping together. But what else could inappropriate relationship mean?
Hand stuff.
Feet stuff.
I think this is my quick take on this. I think it's good. I'm glad that Bruce Meyer is there because it's basically like the same guy is in charge. And we're pro player. I was kind of worried about the idea of the players losing the head of their PA in what is, one of the most important years, I think, of their, of their recent history, and getting this CBA through and making it so that we all have baseball to watch next year. But I guess quick take is it's good, and move on.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this. I think, unfortunately, we're gonna have a lot of time to talk about the MLBPA and. And all the details of the upcoming CBA, next winter.
All right. The Brewers, we were just talking about their devil magic or whatever the hell's going on there. They keep Pat Murphy. He has agreed to a new contract. He's going to be there for a while. I think they're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over. Keep trading, keep finding guys, fixing guys, keep being good and cheap.
It's obviously working.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done it years in a row now, and I think Andrew Vaughn's about to have a great year for the Brewers, unfortunately. Quinn Priester, of course, is going to...
frustrating.
Well, I imagine it's what other people felt about Cardinals. The Cardinal. You know what I'm trying to say? How other fan bases felt about the Cardinals back in like the 2010s and 2000s. It was like, who did they turn around into being a competitive pitcher? Yeah, super annoying.
Yeah. Kyle Loge, remember him? All right. A couple of quick player updates. The Orioles, Jordan Westburg goes down with a partial UCL tear. He might be back like at the end of summer if everything goes great. I think this is just a bummer just because I want the Orioles to be good. I want Adley Rutschman to have a good year. I'd like them to be healthy and competitive in the NL East. I think it'd be fun. Bird team. We like these guys.
We love a bird team. And so they went and got Brian Ramos right after this.
Right.
Which in hindsight, we spent way too much time talking about Brian Ramos. It turns out, who could have seen, that coming. But yeah. Kyle, quickly, were you excited by the Brian Ramos pickup? Because I kind of was. And then it was gone by before we even had time to embrace it.
Yeah, I was pretty bummed about it. It was weird too. The whole thing was weird. And so my Nolan Gorman rant should tell you that I was not. I just wanted Brian Ramos to have a real chance.
Yeah.
And then for them, it tells you all you thought about Brian Ramos to bring Zach Kent back and then get rid of him for Ramon Urias. And, so yeah, I'm bummed. I really am. Well, hopefully he has success with Baltimore.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to see him get an extended shot with an organization that wasn't the White Sox. And maybe he is. That, it sounds like he might get a shot. But also the Orioles have a ton of prospects too, so we'll see how much time he gets.
Mm-hmm.
All right, final piece of news is your Cubbies bring in Michael Conforto on not a major league deal. But I thought that was interesting that kind of anybody would bring him in. But the Cubbies taking a chance. I think their roster is pretty much figured at this point. But take a look at a guy and see what happens with Conforto. Trying to, is this his second year in a row trying to be a baseball player?
Yeah. Honestly, one of the bigger surprises to me last year was
how much money the Dodgers threw at him.
Well, I really thought that at the time, I thought it was a great move. I really thought damn it, Dodgers, here we go again. Conforto is about to have a great season. And reestablish his career and all that. It's a perfect place for him, perfect lineup that he can just be hidden in and get back to form. And I just thought it was a great move. And then now here we are a year later, and he's signing a minor league deal with the Cubs. I just did not see that coming at all. So, of course, now the Cubs will probably turn him around and he'll be great. They've got plenty of opportunity there too. So I don't know, Kyle, were you a Conforto guy?
No, not at all. But I did think that the Dodgers would turn him around, to your point. And also, it's nice to note that the Dodgers didn't turn him around. That would have sucked.
It is satisfying, though, because I think we've all gotten so burnt out by the Dodgers being good that anytime they sign anyone, you're just like, fuck. Of course. Now, how did we all miss it? Now they're going to, whatever. And it's like, no, they miss also. Remember when they got Alex Reyes and we were all pissed because it was like, oh, here we go. Alex Reyes is about to be the best closer in baseball or something. And, they couldn't save him either.
And they're like, hey, we'll trade for Jack Flaherty. And we're like, oh, here it is. This is what we've all been waiting for. And now here he is back in Detroit for the second term.
Yeah.
Okay. So there we go.
Yeah. Yeah. But was that him or was that them or him?
It was probably both. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point on another player where it didn't work out a little bit. Yeah. My heart was better for it.
I think it more like the Dodgers and the Rays. If you just acquire everybody and try something on everybody, you'll find a Max Muncy every once in a while, or whoever else, And I think the Cardinals are kind of doing that now. They are taking way more shots, bringing way more people into the org, and I hope giving us more shots at having more situations like that.
Yeah. Me too.
All right, that's all I got for league news, Nady.
All right, we're going to wrap up with a little game. Kyle, whenever we have you on, I try to come up with a game that is relevant to your expertise.
Pornography?
I've got some photos that I'm going to share with you. What I have in front of me is a list of players. Some of them are somewhere in the Cardinals organization right now.
My God.
And some of them
Oh,
are names that I made up or are otherwise not real Cardinal baseball players.
Okay.
So I don't know how deep your memory palace goes for this,
Memory
Kyle.
Palace.
But some of the names you were listing before, I was like, I don't know any of them. So you might just know all of these guys. But we're gonna go back and forth. I forgot to say that the name of this game is Him or Whim. It's either a him or it's a whim. Someone that I just threw in there on a whim.
You said Memory Palace, and I don't know why my brain did this, but I can't get that John Mayer song, Your Body is a Wonder Thing, out of my head now. There.
I'm glad when I speak, that's what you think of. All right, so Ben,
Yo.
you're gonna start. I'm gonna say the name, and you say him or whim.
Okay.
John Gazdar.
Wow. I actually feel like I have seen that name, but I feel very confident that that is a real guy.
Infielder at Double-A.
Yeah,
Boom.
John Gazdar. I just love that name, John Gazdar.
11th round pick or 10th round pick. Yeah, interesting guy.
11th round pick in the 24 draft.
Kyle's going to wipe me with this.
We'll see. That one I knew he was higher.
Okay.
They're not all Double-A. You know?
Okay.
All right, Kyle. Nate Laraff.
Fake. Whim. Whim is that?
Oh, yeah.
That's a whim. Yeah.
Fucking Nate. Yo, of course you pick a guy with Nate.
He's obsessed with it. I swear to God.
Nate
Nate.
Nathanson.
Nate.
Nate
Nate.
Laraff, a
Nate.
fake name that I've come up for myself. It's
So
giraffe, but
stupid.
with an L.
Okay. That's good, Nate.
There's a game I made up where Mark Ruffalo is basically Buffalo, but you change the first letter.
This is not a game.
No, so what would your name be if you took your name and then you took an animal name and you switched the first? Kyle's dying.
My name is
Get
already an
Nate.
animal name.
Well, if you have an animal name in your name,
Yeah.
Orca.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on.
It's extra funny because Ben is like he's obsessed with his name, and then you get his cable. The fucking yeah, no. What I do is I make my name with an animal. Sometimes I make my name with flowers.
Oh, I think it's a fun little game, and I recommend everyone at home. What's your Mark Ruffalo name? Mine's Nate Laraff. Ben. Josh Cross.
Josh Cross. It's too boring to be made up by you. I think that's a real guy.
Kyle, do you know Josh Cross?
Josh Cross ended his season in Peoria. He's a first baseman catcher in the organization. I think drafted in the 6th round.
God,
Jeez.
Kyle, you're too good. This is going. I was worried about this. Kyle's going to know every single one of these. But does he know Court Yangle?
No, that's fake. I'm not going to say whim, asshole. Fuck you.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Court Yangle is fake.
Yangle.
Ben. Andy Yersey.
Andy Yersey. Like Yersey.
Andy Yersey.
Andy Yersey. Andy Yersey. Andy Yersey. Andy Yersey. It's fun to say. I'm gonna say whim. That's not a real guy.
Kyle.
He's in spring camp. He's a catcher first baseman out of the Pittsburgh Pirates
Wow.
organization. He was signed as a minor league free agent last year.
Wow.
That's right. All right. Ben's the first to miss. Kyle. Gustavo Santa Ilala.
That is fake.
Ben, do you know who that is?
Nope.
He's a famous composer.
Okay.
All right,
I
Ben.
did not know that though.
Ben. Luis Pino.
Luis Pino. Pinot Noir? Luis Pino. Sure. That's a guy.
That's right. He is
Just a 50-50 on it. It's really just.
Cuban outfielder goes by the nickname Super Mario.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
love him.
That's fun. Few more for you guys as Kyle runs away with it. Kyle, Cade McGee.
Oh, Cade McGee was a 9th rounder out of Cincinnati, a third baseman.
Wow.
Ben, Victor Salgado.
That's a guy. Yeah, it's real.
Nope, that one's fake.
Okay.
All right, Kyle, I got one last one for you. Fuck bone fart.
That guy was real. He'd live in my house with me.
What?
Kyle?
Wait, I will say whim for that one,
Yeah.
asshole.
Yeah, fuck bone fart is not real. Okay, that's gonna do it for this game, Kyle. You ran away with it.
What?
I thought I could sneak that one by.
The show is off the rails, Nate. I've had it.
Well, we're an hour and 40 minutes in, so that's going to do it. Kyle, you win the game. You win the hearts and minds of all around you. Thank you so much for being here. It's been awesome to have you back.
I love you guys. It's a pleasure to be back. And, it's only fair that we give our shout out to my cousin, Charlie Edlin, who I'm sure will listen.
Hey,
Charlie, we love you. And that's how I would like the evening to end, not on whatever ridiculous bone fart you said. Nick Fluckstein bone fart
Fuck
down.
bone fart. All right. It's a good name. And yes, shout out to Charlie. And that's going to do it for this week's episode. We'll be back next week. Hambone and I head to Florida ourselves. We will have one more episode that it will be pre that trip. But we will be in Florida next weekend. Eyes on the ground. We're doing it, so it'll be fun.
Watching
we'll have
the game, Nathan.
I'm looking straight down.
Okay.
And probably a bunch of nachos, but anyway. We'll talk more about our trip next week and our plans and whatnot. But we're very, very excited. So Kyle, thank you again for being here. That's going to do it for this week's episode. And until next week, gotta say it. Go Cardinals.
Deniel.
Walking out.